Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. You ever wonder what life could have looked like had things gone differently? Today in the rLounge, a daughter could have had a proper childhood if given the chance. Entitled X gets shut down by the judge. This happened last month. First and foremost, English isn't my first language. Second, I will post the story that happened in court first and then the backstory. Marked not safe for work due to some of the language. Back in July, I was served with court papers by the local sheriff. I opened it, and it lists my ex-girlfriend, Clara, as the plaintiff. I get on the phone with her brother, who to this day is still a good friend of mine, to see what is up with his sister. He's in no contact with his sister due to the drama that unfolded in our breakup, but talks to his dad and takes care of him, so he called him up. He had told his dad that I had quit my job, left the Tidewater area, and was semi-retired. The dad then informed his daughter of this and makes it sound like I'm just absolutely loaded. He told her to make sure that our daughter is in my will. I posted on r/legal about this issue and hired the local attorney and also put him in contact with the attorney who drafted the will. Here comes court time. There's my attorney and myself on the defendant's side and only Clara on the plaintiff's side. The local judge is an older lady.
Miss Clara, what are we doing here today? The way this was filed didn't give us much to go by. Does he owe you back child support? No, Miss Judge. Child support stopped 10 years ago. Well, Miss Judge, I want to make sure that my daughter is well taken care of after he kicks the bucket. By the way, it's not Miss, it's Your Honor. How do you plan on making sure your daughter is taken care of? Well, Miss, I demand his will be read, and if my daughter isn't in it, then you need to make sure she's in it.
The judge rolls her eyes a little.
Mr. Sweet, I see you hired Joe as your attorney.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's fantastic. Mr. Joe, do you have the document in question by any chance?
My client spoke to the plaintiff's brother and found out that this document might be at the center of the issue. We also have the attorney who drafted the document ready to be on video chat for Your Honor. Here's the document.
Okay, we'll take recess while I investigate this a little bit. Miss Clara, may I please have your daughter's full name and social security number before I go, just so I have all the information? Yes, Your Honor. It's McKinley blah blah blah. Thank you. Please don't go too.
Clara has this evil, crap-eating grin looking at me as the judge leaves the courtroom. 4 hours later, we get called back to the courtroom, the ex still grinning ear to ear.
Okay, Miss Clara, what is your daughter's current address? Now, keep in mind, I've had my clerk and the sheriff investigate this during recess.
Clara looking at the floor. Louisiana State Jail.
And then where is she going to be?
Alabama Federal Jail. Long story short, she was running drugs across state lines, got into a chase in a stolen car, and then decided to shoot at state and federal agents, injuring 3. She received 20 years in Louisiana and life in Alabama.
Miss Clara, you brought a frivolous case in front of the court. You're not entitled to see this document. Since Mr. Sweet is still alive and kicking, I didn't even read the document. So you can't tell me how much she's getting? Not only will I not tell you, but you now have to pay the court costs and Mr. Sweet's attorney. Then what court do I need to file to do this? You can try all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they are still going to deny. Court adjourned.
Total payment she's on the hook for is $5,000 since the attorney in Hampton was also collecting a fee on this. Here's the backstory on what led us here, and no, she's not getting a single dime or thing from our estate. Clara and I met in Florida back in 1990. She was a waitress at a nearby restaurant. One day I was leaving at the end of her shift and needed a ride to go feed her horses. So I did give her a ride. I hung out and we talked and hit it off right away. I was 20, she was 19. A month after this, she moved in with me in my Hollywood apartment. All was going well till about 1992 when she blew through all of the savings we had on horse-related products. She then got terminated from the diner while she was pregnant. The reason why? She was a no-call, no-show 3 days in a row. In August of 1992, she had our daughter. By the time we had her daughter, I was working 7 days a week, 3 different job sites, and barely saw them. In a week, there was 4 fatalities on 2 sites, so I quit and wanted a break. I really started to look at the financial aspects of our lives, and we were in deep trouble. Since I was working all the time, she was the one who needed to go pay rent. For the past 3 months, she hadn't paid the rent, but was going to a psychic with it. We ended up moving in with her parents. Her dad made her get rid of the 2 horses and all the tack she had bought. Total, she had spent $30,000 in 2 years we had been together. We recuperated $8,000, which she kept in the breakup. When my daughter was born, we did not have health insurance, so her mom said for her to go in as a single parent. Bad idea that bit me in the butt later in life. After she had the baby, Dad gets transferred to Virginia Beach, Virginia, as he's in the Navy and wanted to be closer to his son, Clara's brother, who was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. Mom and Clara move up a month ahead of Dad and I get a phone call after the week of them being there that Clara wants to break up with me. Well, crap, I'm still moving up to try to patch things up and be close to my daughter. Ended up staying with Cody, Clara's brother, and we became best friends. I had McKinley every weekend and was giving my ex $125 a week for support. After a while, I stopped trying to patch things with the ex because of how much drama she was creating. She was telling Dad I never gave her money to support the baby, but her brother was backing me as I was giving her money. Keep in mind, between 1993 and 1995, I was making $225 a week if I didn't do any side work. Our friendly agreement came to a stop when Mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and died 4 months later. 2 weeks after Mom passed, she packed all her stuff and moved with a new boyfriend she had met a few times. He was an out-of-town welder who promised her the world if she went with him to North Carolina. Dad came back from a trip to spread his wife's ashes to an empty home. Cody is the one who broke the news to me. I had a girlfriend who is now my wife. Told her the situation and she was extremely supportive. She was on a mission to help me get my daughter back. We got married in 96. Didn't hear from Clara till 97. When she called, she wanted $1,800 for me to speak to my daughter, and I paid. I was on the phone with her for less than 5 minutes, and Clara took the phone and said, "If you want more time, you're going to have to pony up more cash." Told the wife and Cody this, and they were livid. She called a few more times asking for money and pretty much told her, "Let's go to court." Every time she would hang up the phone. Hired a private investigator and found out she was in the Tampa, Florida region. I tried to hire an attorney, but they all declined my case. I personally drove down to Tampa in 1998, got to stand in front of a family court judge for him to laugh me out of court, stating that I have no family claim. Fast forward to 2006, she's 13. Dad calls me and says McKinley is in schooling trouble as she's only in 5th grade and about to repeat it if something isn't done. Since my wife is a teacher, he feels like it would be best for her to stay with us. Wife agrees to take her in and get her to a psychiatrist to see if there is trauma or ADHD holding her back. This is the nightmare that followed through her stay. She stole from almost all of the teachers she had. Removed safety bar on the bunk bed that led to her sister breaking her arm. Kept her sister, 4 and 6, up till midnight telling them horror stories. If they didn't want to listen to them, she would physically assault them. The final straw was that at 14 she got a gun from one of the local boys and proceeded to bring it home and decided to take shots at the 6-year-old. She got a few shots, but the gun jammed up and was tackled down by the babysitter. Cops were called and she was escorted to jail and then mental hospital, where Clara had to pick her up from. Clara ended up filing for child support and was awarded $250 a month. She was hoping to go back to at least $400, but judge told her that she can only get 20% of my income. Even more of a nightmare came after this. 14-year-old got charged with breaking and entering, grand larceny, and grand theft auto. 15 was caught having sex with a 55-year-old man. Clara tried to blackmail him, but didn't work, so he went to jail. 16 beat a disabled kid at school who was in a wheelchair and was brought on charges. 17 drug charges. 18 we had a family cookbook made and I sent her a copy of it, to which she responded with an email with a picture of it burning, saying she didn't give a dang about this family crap, that all I was a bank account to draw from. Every time she had charges brought against her, she would end up in mental hospital. Clara would call for bail money, to which I declined every single time, but made sure that she had all the help and the bill was covered, and they were pissed about that. By age 21, she finished high school. By 24, she had 2 kids. They both ended up in foster care. By the time I was told this and tried to get custody of my grandchildren, Clara had attempted to kidnap them, and the state put a squash to family having any custody. Through the past 30 years, I've been put through hell and back. My wife has seen me completely broken down from this turmoil and been nothing but supportive of me. I'll be damned if she gets a thing from our estate. I'd leave something to my grandchildren, but I don't have names or locations for them. Now a couple of reactions from the community. First up, I'm so very sorry for all you and your wife have been through. I wonder if you had custody of her daughter, how much better her life had been. You were actively trying to be in her life, and Clara clearly wanted to control your access to your child. Very selfishly, causing long-term damage to both you and your child, and obviously used your daughter to receive money. Your daughter was clearly raised to view you only as a moneymaker, not a father. This is just so heartbreaking to read. It's a very tragic story, but I do hope you find your grandchildren and maybe get an opportunity to have the chance to have some kind of relationship with them one day. Someone else chimes in. I had an ex come at me for alimony to the tune of $10,000 a month because that is what her friend was getting and she felt entitled to that sum as well. The part she left out was that her friend was married to a neurosurgeon who made that kind of money and not the measly amount I was making. The judge almost literally laughed her out of court. I'm sorry, OP. This is an all-around not great situation for anybody. It's honestly too bad that you couldn't get your hands on your daughter earlier in her life. I'm sure her life would have looked immensely different. It's unfortunate that she ended up on that path, likely due to her mother and her mother's lifestyle. You tried your best, and honestly, there's not much else you could have done. It's unfortunate that the judges and the law usually take the side of the mother, even though the mothers can be and have been unfit to parent. So sorry to hear all about this, OP. What are your thoughts on all this? Thank you for following along today in the rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to share regarding today's content, we want to hear it. See you next time.